Now let's learn to count objects inside a list. So jumping back here, we have a new idle window and let's create a list. So let's create let's say again num list. So I'll start with a very simple example, but then we will work towards a more interesting one. So num list would be equals to list of range of 20, let's say. So as you remember that this gives us the so all the numbers up to, but not including the number that we specify there. So we have our list now. So now what we can do is we can ask Python to count the number a specific element occurs, the occurrence of a specific element. So basically how many times there is 1 in this list. So because this list has every number only once, this is a very mundane example, but still let's start with that. So num list dot count, and we can specify any number in here, and you can see that because all of the, so you can say 9, 20, or yeah, if 20 is of course not in the list, so that comes out as 0, but anything up to 20 obviously return 1 because that is present and only once. This basically counts the number of occurrences of an element in the list. You can do the same thing with strings. So if you have a list of strings, let's make one. So fruits is equal to, maybe we have our previous example, so apple. My cursor is going everywhere, not where I want. Peach and grape maybe, and now we can say fruits dot count, and you can specify the object that you want to find, which would be apple or peach or grape, whatever, and you can see that yes, it is present and it is present only once. Just to show you that it is indeed counting, what we can do is what we can say fruits, sorry, I copied the wrong line. So we can say fruits dot append apple. So now we will have two counts of apple in here, and if we do fruits dot count, you can see indeed it is indeed apple count is 2, and if we do peach, that still comes at 1. So this is useful in if you want to find out how many times something occurs in the list. So this is a very mundane example, as I said, but now let's work towards a more complicated example or more interesting example. So what we will do is first generate a very large list of random numbers. How do we do this? This involves a little something that we have still not learned, but that is just one line. So if you don't understand that line, or if you don't, so just basically don't worry about that. We will cover that in great detail later on, but for now we just need a large list, and there is no other way to generate that kind of a list without using that feature. So I will use it, and then when we get to it, we will explain. So let's make a large list of random numbers. So for that we first have to import another thing called random. This works with random numbers inside Python. So and then so large list is equal to rand int random dot rand int I, sorry, no, 1,100 for I in made that mistake here. This is a list. So this is a bit more advanced than we have been so far, but just don't worry about this line. Okay. So I will not print out the entire list because it is 2000 integers long. So what I will do is I will just print out a small section of it. So let us say first 10 numbers, and you can see indeed it is random. So what I have done here in this line, I will just explain what I have done, not how I have done it. That involves a little bit of iterator logic. So there is a for loop in here, and this is called a list comprehension. We will learn about that later. But for now, just understand that in this line right here, what I have done is I have created a list of 2000 integers varying anything from 1 to 100. So I pick a number anything between 1 to 100 randomly, and I have done that 2000 times. So I have a list of 2000 numbers that is anything between 1 to 100. So now I have this large list, but can you tell me how many times specific elements occur in this list? Well, of course you have to count it. So this is a great example of using count. So what we can do here, we can do large list dot count, and we can do 20 maybe. Let's see how many times 29 is in this list. 31 times. Would you look at that? Who would have known? Let's say how many times 50 is here. 26 times. So this is a bit more interesting example. How about 26, 28 times? So let's write that as a script and take this as an user input. So we'll ask the user for a number, and then we will check how many times that occurs in our large list, and then we will report that back to the user. So for that we will fire up Visual Studio Code again. And here we have our previous stuff that we were doing. Let's create a new file. Let's call that number count.py. Okay, and so what we first need to do is, again, we have generated that large list first. That requires no, I mean, if you want, you can do an user input here, but I am not going to do that for the time being. I'll just create a large random list of 2000 numbers, or maybe not. Maybe we will take that number from the user. So basically, this line is just that. It just creates a large list of this number here. So whatever you put in here, that is how many times you will sample from that bin of 1 to 100 numbers without replacement. And basically we can say input here, and you can say element num, that is how long our array will be, and then we can put in here say specify how long how many times specify length of the list or something like that. There is no very nice way of putting it. Specify length of the list colon space. And remember, input always gives us back a string, but range doesn't take a string as an input, so we have to convert that back to an integer, and then we can put that back in here. So now we can ask the user how long of a list you want, and whatever they say, we can generate a large list containing that many numbers between each of the element is between 1 to 100 at random. We have that, and now comes our real part. So we will create another input here, and we will say which number do you want to count. number do you want to count, and again we will do the same thing, because remember our large list is a list of integers, right? So we can only search integers in there, and that will make sense. If we search a string, we will never find it, because none of the elements in this list is a string. So we will always have to search integers. So make that a little bit bigger for you to see easily. Now that became very big, but okay, we can take care of that, I think. Close that off. Okay, and then we have to put this into, so let's say this is query URY, that's our query, and then we would want to count. So query count is large list dot count. Okay, so we have a typo here, large list dot count, and this will be our query. And then we would want to give the user back that number. So basically we would say print your number, or we can do something clever here, but you can also do is your number occurs whatever our thing is. So basically we'll class it, and then we will convert it to a string once again, and put that. So this is our query URY, and then we will append times. So this will print your number occurs that many times. So when we learn about string methods, there is a much nicer way of doing this, that is called string formatting. When we learn of that, what we can also do is print out the number itself. So we can print out the number, and let's say 28. So 28 occurs that many times, and like that. So if you try to do that here, that will be a bit clumsy, so I'm not going for that, but you can do it, rest assured. When we learn about string methods, we'll see how to do that. Yes, so that so you see, Visual Studio is telling me that there's a problem with this. So it says undefined variable random. That is because I have forgotten to import random here. Okay, so now see that goes away, and now if we run the number count, so let's go to command line, and we go to our desktop, and then we run Python number count.py, and so it says specify. Now I'll give it 2000, 2000, and which number do you want to count? Let's say 34. That's weird. Do that right? You see I have made a mistake. So you see I am printing your number occurs query times. So this is our query itself. That's not what we want, right? So query count times. So that should be correct. So let's run that again. Okay, so let's run that again, and let's say 2000 elements again, and let's say 34. Okay, so 34 occurs 20 times. Very good. Run that again. Say 2000. Let's say 53. 18 times. Very good. Let's say now let's have 10,000 elements, and let's check now how many times 34 occurs. 117 times. Not bad. Not bad. So let's run that again with 10,000 elements, and let's run say how many times 53 occurs. 97 times. So also keep in mind that each time I'm running it, the array is changing, but if you want to query or count the number over and over and over again, you basically have to implement this inside a while or a for loop, but we haven't learned about loops yet. So we will hold off until we learn about that, and then maybe we will revisit this problem, and then we can learn about how to make this large list that I made, and also count them again and again using different numbers. So that is a problem for a later date. But for now, you can run this program as many times as you like, create a bunch of numbers and see how many times a specific number occurs, because it is random and you don't know. So that is a nice example I can think of string of this count method, application of a count method. There are many others. When we learn about string methods, I will show you another cool trick we can do with this. So that's it for now.